What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So today we're going to listen to Senator Grassley. He's going to be talking about Social Security reform. How does he feel about Social Security reform? Should we have an increase for Social Security? Should we make cuts to the program? We're going to listen to what he has to say. But first off, if you guys can do me a favor, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, and then click all. By clicking all, you'll get notified anytime we post a video. We do daily videos here, so by clicking the bell notification and clicking all, you should be getting updated every day. And just a reminder, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. And if you'd like to follow me on Twitter and Threads, you can at the TEC Show Live. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look and a listen to Senator Grassley. He's going to be talking about Social Security reform. Here we go.
Well, before I start my statement, I was listening to Senator Wyden, and I don't ever pick a fight with Senator Wyden because he and I work together on so many pieces of legislation. But I keep thinking both what you said about taxing billionaires and what he was talking about keeps reminding me of something that Russell Long said many times. His last 6 years in the United States Senate was my first 6 years in the United States Senate. And he was a predecessor of Chairman Wyden, I think 16 or so years chairman of the Finance Committee. And I remember him saying so many times about the tax policy you ought to have. He kind of likened it to some bird or fowl. He says you need to go where you can get the most feathers with the least squawk. That's what his tax policy was. And it hasn't changed a lot in the last 50 years either. So, I guess starting out my statement, I can say, praise the Lord, we're finally talking about something about money and things the Budget Committee ought to be working on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding today's hearing. Social Security solvency is exactly the kind of subject the Budget Committee ought to be reviewing. I hope we use today as an opportunity for thoughtful and constructive dialogue, because when it comes to Social Security, our constituents deserve more than partisan scaremongering. I'm glad that you agreed to invite the Director of the Congressional Budget Office, Dr. Swego, to testify. It's the first time the CBO Director has testified before the committee that's got the proper name, the Budget Committee, on our nation's long-term fiscal challenges since way back September 2020. Social Security is part of the social fabric of America, and every Republican agrees with that as well. Social Security, we all know, is in trouble. But when you have candidates for president on the Republican side, and you have a Democratic president in office today say we're not going to touch Social Security, how do you get anything done? You know, it's not the Reagan, Tip O'Neill approach to things where in 1983 this program was in trouble and they said we got to get together, we got to save it. And they did. And maybe they thought they were doing something for 10 or 20 years, but it's worked out now for 50 years before you get cuts in Social Security when it's only going to be about 75 or 76% of what people receive today. So we don't argue about maintaining Social Security, and we resent anybody saying we want to do away with Social Security when you want to save it for the next 75 years. We have both the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office and the Biden administration own Social Security trustees saying in about 10 years the program will be able to pay only 75 cents on the dollar. Doing nothing means cuts for everyone. Congress and the President consequently need to act. The longer we wait, the tougher it'll be to fix the problem. Back in 1983, as I just said, we had two outstanding people, one a Republican, one a Democrat, struck a deal to to save Social Security, and that was with a combination of tax increases and benefit changes. While I hope we won't wait until the last minute, the only way to reach a deal on Social Security is to follow the Reagan-O'Neill model. That means Congress and the President working in a bipartisan fashion and keeping a range of options on the table. In fact, when I get asked by Iowans, what are you going to do about Social Security? I don't want to talk about the substantive issues, because unless you overcome the process issue dealing with Social Security, that we're going to get both the President and the Congress, and within the Congress, the Democrats and Republicans sit down at the same table, nothing's going to get done. And then when you sit down at that table, everything's on the table. Unfortunately, President Biden has refused to provide any leadership on this issue. His budget includes $4 7/10 trillion in tax cuts, but not a single proposal to extend the solvency of Social Security Trust Fund. While some congressional Democrats have put forward their own proposals, these are tax-heavy messaging bills and not real solutions. These proposals would push the marginal tax rate above 50%, and many would break the President's promise not to raise taxes on anyone making less than $400,000. And look at the unrealistic aspect of raising marginal tax rates. In World War II and for a few years afterwards, it was 93%. But we didn't have anybody paying 93% of their income on taxes because they found ways to avoid. In other words, there's enough people in this country that are smart enough to know that I'm not going to work my lifetime and give all the money to the government. They're going to either choose leisure or they're going to have rewarding productivity. The truth is that taxes on the rich alone won't save Social Security for our children and grandchildren. If Democrats have a plan that you believe will permanently fix Social Security solely by taxing the rich, send it to CBO. They'll prioritize requests from the chairman of the committee. However, you're going to be disappointed when the nonpartisan answer you get back. One final point: since the program inception, Social Security has been financed primarily by dedicated payroll taxes paid by workers and their employers. That's because President Roosevelt wanted the program to have its own dedicated funding source and not be a welfare program and resemble a private pension plan where benefits you receive reflect the contributions you pay in. These twin principles of self-financing and earned benefits have been an integral part of Social Security for the last 88 years. But now Democrat proposals would break that tradition by introducing new revenue sources with no links whatsoever to benefits, just like income taxes or carbon tax. I'm not convinced we should abandon longstanding Social Security principles that have served well for 88 years. But if we do decide to look at new revenue sources, new taxes on family farms and small businesses aren't the answer. A better option would be to instead repeal the Manchin-Schumer reconciliation laws, expensive and regressive new tax subsidies, and credit the savings to the Social Security Trust Fund. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses.
Okay, so that was Senator Grassley. What do you think? You know, there's a lot of stuff that he talked about, but the first part that he was talking about, this elder statesman, this older politician that basically said, and he quoted this, and he basically said the best way to, when it comes to legislation, is to get the most feathers with the least amount of squaw. And when you listen to him say that, you have to really think to yourselves, what is he really saying? He's basically saying that he doesn't want to get a lot of pushback, right? And he feels, and this is the reason why there's a lot of politicians that are out there that are talking about Social Security reform. Senator Grassley didn't really say much when it came to, are you going to cut Social Security? Are you going to make raises for Social Security? What are you going to do? How are you going to pull in the revenue? He didn't really talk about that. He just said everything is on the table. But just by listening to what he was saying is he doesn't want to raise taxes on people making $400,000 or more. Those are the wealthy people. Those are the people that would probably give him the most squaw. Those are the people that could probably call him on the phone and actually talk to him. Whereas the average American, the average senior, can't call their politician and talk to them. They're going to be talking to staff members. If anyone, they might have to just leave a message. But when it comes to millionaires and billionaires, they have a little sway, right? They can get in there and they can talk to these politicians. They can afford these big fundraise dinners and all this stuff. They can afford that. And so they will pay for that just so they can go and talk to Senator Grassley. So those are the people that are going to give him the most squaw. So when he's talking about getting the most feathers without hearing the most squaw or whatever, however he said that, that is what he's talking about. He's talking about he's going to favor the people who actually will confront him on the issues. And so I thought that was very interesting what he was saying. Now, when it comes to the Senate Republicans have not come up with a proposal. So you have Senator Bernie Sanders has come up with a proposal. You have Sheldon Whitehouse come up with a proposal. Republicans have not come up with a proposal. We had this nonpartisan group of senators that were talking about some type of proposal to reform Social Security, but that went away. That was a couple of months ago they were talking about this. It's gone now. I don't hear anything. And so when it comes down to it, if you want to have dialogue, if you want to have a discussion, you want to debate back and forth, you need to come up with your side, your proposal. You bring your proposal to the floor, and then you guys can talk about it. You can talk about Senator Bernie Sanders' plan. You can talk about Sheldon Whitehouse's plan. You can talk about whatever the Republicans want to do when it comes to reforming Social Security. But you need to bring that to the floor. And if you don't bring that to the floor, how are you going to have a discussion? Because they don't know where you're coming from. We just listened to Senator Grassley right now, and do you know where he's coming from? Do you know if he wants to make any cuts to Social Security? Do you know what he's eyeing to cut? And on the other hand, if he wants to bring in revenue and provide a raise for Social Security, do you know how he wants to do that? No, because he is not explaining anything. He's just saying everything is on the table. Well, why don't you put something together and let us see what you want to do when it comes to Social Security reform? So that's all I have for this video, but I want to know what you guys think about this, so let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.